What's up, guys? It's Eventon here. So I wanted to make this video. It was pretty much an indirect request, I guess you could say, by a fellow viewer. He actually recognized my alt account jumping from system to system through HiSec and just shouted at my alt just saying, hey, when are you going to make some videos? And it's honestly been a while. And so I've been trying to keep up with the schedule of trying to make at least like 2 or 3 videos a week. But sometimes I just get busy with work and some other stuff. But I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and throw one together real quick. What's some pretty good content that people can still learn about that is relatively short and still educational. And so I was just thinking about the broker relations like skill as well as just sales tax. So basically the broker fees and the sales tax, because even a lot of veterans still aren't even sure what should taxes apply to what and when, and how you guys can be easily saving a little bit of money and which skills you should be trading first. So we'll go ahead and jump into it right now. Okay, so I'm on one of my alt accounts right now. It's for skill farming. It's almost that sweet spot of 5 million skill points, but not quite. I mainly wanted to show you this character to you guys because it has no skills in either of the sales tax or the broker fees, just so you guys can see the difference as I'm doing it live. So in order to see these skills, again, you want to go to your character sheet, then click on trade, and in the top left, you're going to have accounting and broker relations. Make sure you have your all skills tab up here selected, because I think by default it just has skills that can train now or something like that. You want to make sure you always have all skills, at least in my opinion. So accounting, basically between both of these, there's 5% of taxes here and 5% of taxes here. So accounting only gets applied if you're actually trying to sell something. And then broker relations involves sometimes buy orders and sell orders that are taking place in NPC stations. And there are actually workarounds for broker relations, which is why, in my personal opinion, you should be level up accounting, because you're going to be selling way more things than you should be buying, especially if you're riding, mining, things like that. And there are actually ways around the broker relations, like the taxes here. So just as an example here, I know I threw a lot of information at you guys, but just as an example here, with the Crimson Harvest event going on, I got these like Halloween Horrors fireworks right here. So if we wanted to, let's say we wanted to buy some. So we right click it, I go to view market details. Here's the information. So we got quite a few people selling it for 2,680 ISK. Let's say I wanted to buy all 100 of these straight up. You can see right now there is basically no taxes being applied. So if you're trying to buy something straight up, and I guess the best example of this is if you're at a swap meet or whatever it is, a bunch of people have their tents set up ready to sell fireworks. If you go up to that person and buy it straight up for the price that they're asking for, there is no middleman. You don't have to pay any taxes. But let's say you're walking around and you're like, gosh, these fireworks are super expensive. I don't want to buy them for that price. But what I'm willing to do is actually to go set up a tent over here and put up a little sign saying, hey, I'm buying fireworks for, let's say we're going to, like, you know, undercut, or I guess technically overcut this guy. And then we want to place a buy order. We don't want to spend 2,000, you know, basically 2,600 ISK. We want to pay 810. And so now you can see there's this broker fee here of that amount. So let's say we wanted to buy, I don't know, I'm just putting a high number just so that percentage sign shows up. So let's say we wanted to buy 5,000. And the duration, you can put this up to 3 months, which is a really long time. And I'm actually surprised that like the taxes or none of the amounts change based on the length. So whether you do it for a day or 3 months, it honestly doesn't make a difference on the tax number. The range depends on how far you want to buy some of this stuff. In my opinion, minimum should always be 1 jump, because there's typically for every major trade hub, there's always like an NPC trade hub, one system nearby that a lot of people do a lot of trading through as well. So that's typically what I do. But you can see here, as we're trying to basically buy these fireworks, there's a 5%, and it says it right here, broker's fee. So that's this skill right here, broker relations. And so each point we put in it, it's going to lower the taxes by X amount. So if we do the buy order here in an NPC station, right now we're in the Jita like main station, it's going to be 5%. There are ways around this, which I'll show you guys here in a little bit on my main account. So this is what that looks like. So let's say we wanted to actually sell these. So we go ahead and click on sell. So all I did was right click. Make sure that it's in your item hanger. If it's in your ship, or if it's in a container, or pretty much anywhere else other than item hanger, it's not going to show you that option to sell it. So it has to be in your item hanger. So as you can see immediately, so if we wanted to sell these fireworks immediately, so let's say we're going to sell it to these guys that are trying to buy it for 800. The only taxes we're paying are the sales tax. As you can see up here for the accounting, that's actually the sales tax that's being applied there. We're not doing the broker's fee because we're doing it immediately, basically. But let's say we wanted to be like these guys. I want to sell these fireworks, but I think I could get a bit more for them, or in this case, a lot more. So let's say we put it for 2,670. So if you see these red lines, it just means there's not an active buy order for that amount. So you probably need to change it here to 3 months. So let's say we put these up for 3 months at 2,670. Now both taxes are being applied. So now we're paying 10% in taxes just to put it up here. And again, there are ways around this. Okay, so now we are actually over in the Tranquility trading tower over here in Perimeter, which is the system right next to JITA. And this is the absolute main trading hub that a lot of people use, especially for buy orders. And I'll explain that here in a second. So again, I forgot to bring the fireworks, but if we right click this, again, it's not going to tell us to buy or sell it. So we have to drag it into our item hanger if we're going to look into to sell it. So let's go ahead and pull up the market details first. So remember earlier when we tried to buy some fireworks, remember we didn't want to pay that 2,000 amount. We're going to pay like 800. Now that we're in a player-owned structure, we placed that buy order. Remember that 5% broker's fee? But now that we're in a player-owned structure, that broker's fee is only 1%. And this number is dictated by the corporation that owns the structure. And usually they always put it at 1%. They do want to make a bit of money. I believe they can put it at 0 if they wanted to, but they do want to make a bit of money. But it's always going to be cheaper than the NPC stations. So this is my one bit of advice. If you're looking to buy something and you're not going to do it immediately and you're willing to wait, let's say the seller prices are just absurdly high, but you're willing to wait and put up a buy order. Always do it in a player-owned structure. I still don't know why people put it in JITA. They're basically paying, even if they have perfect skills, they're paying an extra 2% for absolutely no reason. Maybe they want to save themselves a jump, whatever it may be. I guess it depends on the amount. But especially if you're buying something up in the hundreds of millions or even billions of ISK, it can add up very, very quickly. So if you're going to be buying anything and you're willing to wait, always do it in the Tranquility Trading Tower or the I Choose You markets. It depends on which region you're in. That's always going to cut down on your broker's fee all the way down to 1%. And that's what I mean before about this broker relations. You can kind of cheat around this a little bit. You don't really need to, you do need to level this up because you will be placing sell orders and stuff like that in JITA. So you do want to have this up a little bit, but the accounting is pretty much always going to be applied because when you do sell stuff, it will be between the NPC and stations here. So if you wanted to sell the antimatter charges, you will only pay 1% broker fees again. So if we're not selling it immediately, let's see if I can space this out here. So if we're not selling it immediately to this buy order up here, so let's say immediate, see we're dodging the broker's fee altogether, but we're still paying that sales tax. So anytime you're selling, you're always going to pay that sales tax, no matter what. But let's say we put it on for 2 weeks, so we can actually save some ISK by putting it out here in Perimeter. But Perimeter isn't always a place that people come out to buy stuff. And I'll show you how like the multi-buy thing works here in a second on my main account. But for the most part, I feel like selling stuff in Perimeter like this, like actually selling it and not buying, only works for like ammo or pretty much pilot services. So things like Plex, multiple pilot training certificates, like HyperNet relay stuff, skill injectors. Like you can actually get away with selling stuff in Perimeter, but when it comes to other things like ships and certain modules, like it'll take either a really long time for it to sell, or it might just time out altogether because people are just, it's just a convenience thing. People just have their fit set up. They want to buy everything in bulk at the same time in one station, and they can throw it all together instead of jumping between a few other stations a couple systems over and do it that way. So we'll go ahead and take a look at my alt, and we'll go ahead and take a deeper dive into this. Okay, so now we're on my main and not my alt. Like I said earlier, I'm just too lazy to edit it. You can put ships out in Perimeter. You will save at least 2% on taxes when you put it in Perimeter, but sometimes you do get a big gap like this, and sometimes you'll actually see some of these orders actually get sold out before this one in Perimeter even gets bought, because people don't want to buy a ship at one station but all the modules at a different station and try and fly them together and transport it. It's just too much of a hassle. Even though it'll take them no longer than a minute, it's just merely a convenience thing for the most part. And so basically how they do that is they just do the multi-buy function. So I believe I've shown you guys before some of the fits I have, and So even just this fit right here, I'm in my Sunesis. We click the multi-buy orders. Like let's say we lost our ship, or we just want to have another ship as a backup just in case. We click that multi-buy order. It's just pulling up all the orders that are just in JITA only. So it's not taking orders over from perimeter as of right now. So this is what most people do when they need to fit a ship for a certain scenario or run missions or for PvP, whatever it may be. This is what most of the people do. So that's why, I mean, you can put orders out in perimeter, but it just might take a while for it to get sold, if at all. And then at that point, if a lot of the JITA orders start undercutting you, then you're really going to get buried behind, and your order's not going to sell because it got ignored earlier. So just to mainly look at my skills, I did max out my accounting. So accounting is going to be applied no matter what. If you're trying to sell immediately, or if you want to try and sell it for a higher price and you're willing to wait for someone to buy it, accounting tax will always be applied. And right now it's at, I believe, 2.25%. Let's go ahead and just like try and sell something random. So let's try and sell our Vindicator here, which all these ships, I can't fly almost any of these ships. Most of these are just ships I bought and I'm trying to flip right now for the most part. So there's the sales tax that I was telling you about, 2.25%. That's maxed out. That's under the accounting skill. So you cannot get lower than this, and it's always going to be applied if you sell it. So if you sell it immediately, or you're looking to sell it 3 days, 3 months from now, that's always going to be applied. Now this broker fee is higher because right now we're in JITA for the most part. And again, the way to work around this is to either sell it in perimeter and pay that, get that down to 1%, which will actually save us quite a bit on taxes, but again, might not get bought immediately. The other way around broker fees, like I mentioned before, is that if we're placing a buy order, always do it in perimeter. So if we're selling, a little sketchy, but if we're looking to buy, always do it in perimeter for the most part. So there are some other skills, I won't even say skills, standings that do apply to that broker fee, because the broker fee is broken down by this skill, which I believe if you break it all the way down, it goes to about 3.5%, but there are ways to get that extra 0.5% down in your favor, which I believe is all under standings, which I'll go ahead and link down in the description below. There is a website that'll break down how the standings work and how it affects your percentages and all that stuff. But long story short, just to keep it very, very simple for you guys, it's that skill plus so we're actually in JITA, so it's under Caldari Navy. So whichever, if you're in Dodixie or if you're ever in Amara, those stations, it'll actually tell you which corporation actually belongs to. So it belongs to Caldari Navy. It has, my standing with Caldari Navy is 9.01. You can get this up to 10 to drive down this broker fee a little bit more, and it also takes the standings of the actual faction. So in this case, it's the Caldari state, which I do need to get this up. It's just a lot of grinding, a lot of missions, and it's just not a huge priority right now, because essentially, like I said earlier, there are ways you can just completely dodge this broker fee, or at least get it down to 1%. So it's not a huge priority, but that's actually why I recommend for a lot of new bros, if you are planning on running missions, or if you do want to start getting into like mission running and stuff, I suggest doing it for the Caldari Navy, because one, JITA is the #1 big port. You want to be kind of in that area to be able to sell your stuff very quickly. And two, it's actually going to help with this broker's fee for the Caldari Navy. And plus, the Caldari Navy like faction items are really inexpensive, and it's like a really good, those are the type of faction modules and like ammo and stuff that gets bought on a very, very frequent basis. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I would say, again, the two biggest takeaways that I would say for this whole thing is to first max out your accounting, because that's a tax you're always going to have to deal with. You're going to be selling infinitely more stuff that you're going to be dying, or it's not dying, that you're going to be buying, because hopefully you're not dying a lot. And hopefully, you know, even if you do like a mining ship, you know, you buy all the modules in the ship, and then you're going to be mining a lot and selling a lot of ore, which is why you want to max out the accounting skill. Put some skills into broker relations. You don't need to completely max it out. I'm not a huge fan. It's just not a priority to max it out right now. But if you are looking to buy something and you are willing to wait, always do it in the player-owned structure. You will save at least 2% in taxes, and it's going to start adding up in the long term. So That's pretty much it, guys. If you guys have any questions or concerns for me, I know this video had kind of a lot of information, but I wanted to keep it simple for you guys and really kind of be thorough in explaining why that is. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw that down in the comments below, and let me know what you guys want to cover next. And if you guys do see me in any of the chats in EVE Online, or if you guys want to send me a private message, again, this is my in-game name. It's just Weasley Edmonton. Give me a shout and let me know what content you guys want me to cover next, because you never know. I might just give you a shout out like I did with this guy earlier. So that's it. Fly safe. You guys take care.